Become mentally tough. A powerful Stoic story about building an unbreakable mind. There was once a young man named Ethan. He wasn't born stronger than everyone else. He wasn't the smartest. He wasn't the richest. He wasn't the most talented. But he possessed something far more valuable: the willingness to change. For years, Ethan believed life was unfair. Whenever he failed, he blamed circumstances. Whenever he lost, he blamed bad luck. Whenever someone succeeded, he believed they had advantages he didn't have. Slowly, those thoughts became a prison. His confidence disappeared. His dreams became smaller. His fear became larger. One rainy evening, after another disappointing day, Ethan sat alone in a quiet park. The rain had almost stopped. Dark clouds drifted across the sky. People hurried home, avoiding the cold wind. Ethan remained on the bench, staring at the ground. He whispered to himself, "Why does life always feel so difficult?" At that moment, an elderly man approached. He wore simple clothes and carried himself with quiet confidence. Without asking permission, he sat beside Ethan. For a few moments, neither of them spoke. Finally, the old man broke the silence. "Do you know how steel becomes strong?" Ethan shook his head. The old man picked up a small stone from the ground. "It is not created through comfort. It is created through fire." Those words caught Ethan's attention. The old man continued, "The same is true for people. A comfortable life creates a comfortable mind. A difficult life can create an unbreakable one, if you choose to learn from it." Before Ethan could ask another question, the old man stood up. As he walked away, he turned and said one final sentence. "Become mentally tough, and the world will never easily defeat you." Those words echoed in Ethan's mind all night. The next morning, he woke before sunrise. For the first time in years, he did not ask himself how he felt. He asked himself what needed to be done. His body wanted to stay in bed. His mind searched for excuses. "It's too early. You deserve more sleep. Start tomorrow." But Ethan recognized those voices. They had stolen years of his life. So he stood up anyway. That simple act became the first victory in a much larger battle. Every morning after that became a test. Some mornings were cold. Some mornings were rainy. Some mornings he felt exhausted. But he continued. Not because it was easy. Because he was building mental toughness. Weeks turned into months. His body grew stronger. His habits improved. But the greatest change happened inside his mind. He stopped seeing obstacles as enemies. He started seeing them as teachers. One afternoon, while hiking through a forest, Ethan came across a massive oak tree. A violent storm had recently passed through the area. Many smaller trees had been uprooted. Branches were scattered everywhere. Yet the great oak still stood tall. Its roots had grown deep through years of wind, rain, and hardship. Ethan stood silently, studying the tree. Then he understood. Strength is not built during peaceful seasons. Strength is built by surviving storms. From that day forward, whenever life became difficult, Ethan remembered the oak tree. He stopped asking, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, he asked, "What is this teaching me?" That single change transformed his life. Months later, Ethan applied for an important opportunity. He prepared for weeks. He gave everything he had. But when the results arrived, he failed. The disappointment was painful. Old thoughts returned. "You're not good enough. You'll never succeed." For a moment, he almost believed them. Then he remembered the old man's words. Fire creates steel. Failure was his fire. He refused to quit. Instead, he studied his mistakes. He improved his weaknesses. He trained harder. Months later, another opportunity came. This time, he was ready. He succeeded. People called him lucky. They didn't see the countless mornings he chose discipline over comfort. They didn't see the invisible battles inside his mind. As the years passed, Ethan became known for his calmness under pressure. When others panicked, he remained steady. When others complained, he searched for solutions. When others quit, he continued moving forward. People often asked, "How are you so strong?" He always smiled. "I wasn't born this way. I became this way." Then life delivered his greatest test. A family crisis struck without warning. Everything changed overnight. The future became uncertain. Fear surrounded him. Every day brought new challenges. Some nights he barely slept. Some days he wanted to give up. But each morning, he remembered the oak tree. Storms do not last forever. But the strength they build can last a lifetime. So he kept going. One step. One decision. One day at a time. Slowly, the crisis passed. When it was over, Ethan realized something profound. The strongest version of himself had been created during the hardest season of his life. Without that struggle, he would never have discovered how resilient he truly was. Years later, a young man approached Ethan. "I want to become mentally tough," the young man said. Ethan smiled and asked, "Are you willing to become uncomfortable?" The young man hesitated. Ethan nodded. "That's where most people stop. They want strength without struggle. They want confidence without challenges. They want victory without sacrifice. But life doesn't work that way." He pointed toward the mountains in the distance. "Every mountain is climbed one step at a time. The same is true for mental strength. It is built one disciplined decision at a time." As the sun began to set, Ethan reflected on his journey. He realized that becoming mentally tough had never been about eliminating pain. It had been about learning to endure it with courage. It had never been about avoiding fear. It had been about acting despite fear. It had never been about controlling the world. It had been about controlling himself. That is the heart of Stoicism. The world will test you. People will doubt you. Plans will fail. Storms will come. Loss will happen. But none of those things can defeat a person who has mastered his own mind. Mental toughness is not loud. It does not seek attention. It is quiet confidence, steady discipline, calm courage. It is the ability to remain focused when life becomes difficult, to continue when others quit, to rise after every fall. If you want to become mentally tough, do not wait for perfect conditions. Start today. Wake up when your alarm rings. Keep your promises to yourself. Do the difficult things first. Control your emotions instead of letting them control you. Accept what you cannot change. Work relentlessly on what you can. Because every challenge you overcome becomes another layer of strength. Every obstacle becomes another lesson. Every difficult day becomes another brick in the foundation of your character. One day, you will look back and realize something extraordinary. The person you once wanted to become has finally arrived. Not because life became easier, but because you became stronger. And that is the true meaning of becoming mentally tough. It is not about never falling. It is about always getting back up. It is not about living without fear. It is about refusing to let fear make your decisions. It is not about having a perfect life. It is about building an unbreakable mind. That is the greatest victory any person can achieve. Because when your mind is strong, very little in this world can stop you. A full 3,000-word version would continue with Ethan's greatest battles: betrayal, failure, loss, recovery, and ultimate stoic transformation, creating a 20 to 25-minute YouTube video with high audience retention. Become mentally tough. Part 2: The mind that refuses to break. The storm had passed. Or at least, that was what everyone believed. After years of discipline, Ethan had transformed his life. He was healthier, calmer, and more confident than ever before. People admired his strength and often told him, "You make everything look easy." Ethan would simply smile. Because they only saw the victories. They never saw the battles inside his mind. They never saw the mornings when he wanted to quit. They never saw the nights when fear whispered that he would fail. They never saw the moments when loneliness felt heavier than success. He understood something that many people never learn. Mental toughness is not built once. It is built every single day. Every sunrise presents a new test. Every challenge asks the same question. Will you stay strong, or will you surrender? One cold morning, Ethan received a phone call from an old friend named Liam. Years earlier, they had dreamed together. They wanted to build successful lives. They wanted to become men of character. But somewhere along the journey, Liam had chosen comfort while Ethan had chosen discipline. Now Liam sounded defeated. "I've failed," he said quietly. "I've lost my business. I don't know what to do anymore." Ethan invited him over. When Liam arrived, he looked exhausted. His shoulders were bent. His eyes had lost their spark. For hours they talked. Liam blamed the economy. He blamed bad partners. He blamed bad luck. He blamed everyone except himself. Ethan listened patiently. Finally, he asked one question. "If everything you've said is true, why are other people finding a way forward?" The room became silent. Liam looked down. For the first time, he realized the truth. Excuses had become easier than responsibility. Ethan leaned forward. "Your greatest battle isn't rebuilding your business. It's rebuilding your mind." Those words stayed with Liam. The next morning, Ethan took him on a long hike before sunrise. The path was steep. The air was cold. The climb was exhausting. Halfway up the mountain, Liam stopped. "I can't do this." Ethan looked at him calmly. "You can." "I'm too tired." "No. You've decided you're too tired." Liam remained silent. Ethan continued. "Your body often follows your mind. If your mind quits first, your body soon follows." Slowly, Liam stood up. One painful step became another. An hour later they reached the summit. As the sun rose above the mountains, Ethan smiled. "The mountain didn't become smaller. You became stronger." Liam finally understood. Most limits exist in the mind long before they exist in reality. Months passed. Liam rebuilt his life. Not because everything became easy. Because his thinking changed. Watching his friend transform reminded Ethan of an important Stoic lesson. Strength spreads. When one person chooses courage instead of excuses, others begin believing change is possible. But life had another lesson waiting. One evening, Ethan received devastating news. His company had lost its largest client. Years of work were suddenly at risk. Employees looked to him for answers. Fear spread through the office. People whispered in the hallways. Some expected the company to collapse. Others quietly prepared to leave. That night Ethan sat alone in the empty office. The silence was heavy. He looked out the window at the city lights. For a moment, doubt entered his mind. What if this is the end? Then another thought followed. What if this is the beginning of something greater? He remembered a Stoic principle. You cannot control every event, but you can control your response. Instead of giving in to fear, Ethan gathered his team the next morning. He spoke calmly. "We cannot change what has happened. But we can decide what happens next. We will not waste energy complaining. We will use that energy to build." His confidence became contagious. The team worked harder than ever. They found new clients. They improved their services. They adapted. Months later, the company recovered. It became stronger than before. Not because the crisis disappeared quickly. Because they refused to let the crisis defeat their minds. Years later, Ethan visited the same park where he had once met the old man who changed his life. The bench was still there. The trees had grown taller. The wind carried the same quiet peace. He sat down and closed his eyes. He remembered the sentence that had started everything. Become mentally tough, and the world will never easily defeat you. Now he understood its true meaning. Mental toughness does not mean you never cry. It means you keep moving after the tears. Mental toughness does not mean you never feel fear. It means fear no longer controls your decisions. Mental toughness does not mean you never fail. It means failure never becomes your identity. As Ethan stood to leave, he noticed a young man sitting alone on another bench. The young man looked exactly as Ethan once had. Discouraged. confused, overwhelmed. Ethan walked over and sat beside him. After a few minutes, the young man asked quietly, "How do I become stronger?" Ethan smiled. "You don't become strong by avoiding hard days. You become strong because of them. The storm you're trying to escape may be the very thing preparing you for the future you dream about." The young man listened carefully. Then Ethan pointed toward a tall oak tree standing nearby. "Look at that tree. It has survived countless storms. It didn't become strong because life was easy. It became strong because it kept standing." Then Ethan looked directly into the young man's eyes. "Be like the oak. Bend when you must. Rest when necessary. But never let life break your roots." As Ethan walked away, he smiled. He realized something profound. Years earlier, an old man had changed his life with a few simple words. Now, he had passed that wisdom to someone else. That is the power of Stoicism. Strength is not meant to be kept. It is meant to be shared. So if life feels heavy today, if you are carrying burdens no one else can see, if you feel like quitting, remember Ethan's journey. Remember the mountain. Remember the storm. Remember the oak tree. Every challenge is training. Every setback is preparation. Every difficult season is shaping the person you are becoming. Do not ask for an easier life. Build a stronger mind. Because a mentally tough person cannot always control what happens. But they can always control how they respond. And that single ability changes everything. The strongest people are not those who never struggle. They are the ones who refuse to stay down. Stand up. Take one more step. Face one more challenge. Keep your word. Control your emotions. Trust the process. And become the kind of person no obstacle can easily break. Because in the end, the greatest victory is not over the world. It is over yourself. That is what it truly means to become mentally tough.